I'd hate myself if I didn't ask you about The Irishman.
Okay.
What was your experience like on that? Because I mean, you spent the original scene, or that main scene with Robert De Niro. I mean, you were the one that brokered him to Skinny Razor. So I mean, you had a very very big part, an intricate part, in kind of getting him into the family at the time. But what was that process like? Kind of the audition process and finding yourself on that role.
Well, that particular role, that was being used to audition a lot of different actors. Because when I spoke to some actors, they said, well, I auditioned with that role. They had a different, they landed a different role. I forgot what they call it. There's always a role, like in a lot of films, that the directors use as a kind of a measuring cup, you might say, and see if the actor fits into the cup correctly for the film itself. You know, could this actor be part of the ingredients of the film? And they use the scene. So that's how they call that. I was reading that once. It's kind of refresh my memory. But anyway, I was just finishing The Sinner with Jessica Biel, and I was on that. And they were auditioning for and Chris Mason, who was one of the protagonists in the Sinner. Mason, we were talking. He's a great guy, great actor, and we were talking. I said, "Did you get in for Irishman?" He said, "Nah." "Did you get in?" I said, "Nah." I said, "Yeah, it's over. Probably it's not going to happen." I said, "Yeah, probably not going to happen," because we were just finishing up that series, and where I played his father, Ron Tinetti, and so I didn't think I had a chance to even getting in. Then my manager called me up. It was in September. I got an audition for you for Irishman. I said, what? Are they still casting that? He said, yeah. Marty's still casting it. His process of casting is a very long, detailed process in casting. And I had a friend, I won't mention names, who had auditioned for one of the main roles in The Irishman prior. So, I mean, I thought it was all over. So when I went in, I saw the role and I read the role. I said, this is pretty good. I'm working with Robert De Niro. I introduced him to Skinny Razor. I did some research. I heard you paint houses. I read the book. So my character was in the book. And I was really pretty cool with that. So of course, I knew Ellen Lewis, the casting director. I knew Marty. And I had a good chance because he likes to keep things in the family. If he worked with you once, he'll work with you again, because he likes his people. It's like a lot of directors, old-time Hollywood directors, great directors like to do that. Hitchcock was like that also, from what I understand. William Wyler, John Huston, they're their favorites. You know, they're actors that they like to use from time to time. So I landed the role, and the rest is, it was great to work with Robert De Niro. It's so untrue with people. Let's separate politics. He's a genius actor. This was Taxi Driver. This was Deer Hunter. It was terrific to work with him, to see his concentration. And he's a very unique person to work with. You don't have to say a lot. When he has to say something, he says something. You know what I mean? And we hit it off pretty good because we have some mutual friends. Tanya Alba from Deer Hunter, who played John Savage's wife.
Yeah.
She's a dear friend of mine. And also Richard Bright, Al Neary from The Godfather. And he was in what he played Chicken Joe in Once Upon a Time in America. Richie was my mentor. We lost him in 2006 to a bus accident. God rest his soul, in New York. But he mentored me, and it was a great experience to hang out with him and listen to his stories, working with Olivier and stuff like that. And so I had some, I could break the ice a bit with Robert De Niro, with Robert. So, and I was able to, because as an actor, if we're going to be enemies, we don't really have to know each other very well. But if we're going to be friends, it's nice to break the ice, to have something to talk about. So this way we're simpatico. You know, it's an Italian phrase, you know, for friendship, or kumbaya, whatever you want to call it. So that in itself was a great experience. And of course, Martin Scorsese, he gets great performances from all his actors, extras, background people, because he really makes you feel proud of yourself. You're doing something important, that you have no matter how big or small role you might have, it's important. And I think it truly is. If you look at all the small roles and large roles in that film, Harvey Keitel doesn't have a lot of dialogue, but his presence alone is there. A lot of the actors, he gets just great work from people because he makes you feel good about yourself. Because a lot of it is a psychological game. If you're feeling uptight and you can't relax people, let's face it, you can't. The painter paints his paintings. He's by himself. He's relaxed. He doesn't have anyone looking at him. You know, there's like 20 people looking at him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's painting by himself. And so Martin Scorsese, he allows you to paint by yourself because he supports you. You know?
Yeah.
All the people around you, from the lighting person to the mic, the wardrobe, all good people. Great family, like Sopranos was a great family. We never treated people, there's a lot of hierarchy on certain sets, but we never did that in Sopranos, and you won't see that on a Martin Scorsese set either. People are just people, like me and you.
I think just thinking off the
I hope
top.
I answered that question okay.
Oh no, that was amazing. That was amazing. I mean, again, the Irishman, I had been waiting for it for roughly, it was like, I think it was almost 8 years in development, and I had been kind of tracking it during that whole time. I know it originally was supposed to be a different project, The Winter of Frankie Machine, and then De Niro ended up reading the Irishman book, which is written, based on Frank Sheeran, and he gave it to, and he was reading it for research, and then he told Martin Scorsese that, hey, we actually should do this. And then that's what it turned into the Irishman. But what's amazing is that, I mean, De Niro, I mean, he's, almost 80 years old now. I think he's like 77, 78. He's literally in almost every single scene of the movie. He carries every single scene of the movie. And it's just amazing that, and he still is doing it, like this was one of the closest things that kind of reminded me of like you mentioned, The Taxi Driver, The Deer Hunter. I mean, it's one of those all-time classic movies, and in my opinion, for Joe Pesci, I think this might be his best performance. I mean, this was awesome. He was great in this movie, and the Oscar nominations of how many the movie got, I mean, just speaks for itself.
I agree. I'm a little partial to Raging Bull, but to the brother in Raging Bull, because he showed some elements there when the brothers broke up. There were some elements that were really human things that you can really recognize. And in this film, Irishman, you can recognize also some really great work. Joe Pesci, when Buffalino is a bit older and he's a little bit more humble, and he says, "You'll understand."
Yeah.
And they're in the courtyard. You'll understand. You'll understand. It's sad, I mean, it's. I mean, I won't say it's a swan song, but I think people are really going to appreciate it. I appreciate it years from now. The epic proportion of how it was told, and of course the interlink with the youthful thing why they were able to do it, make Robert De Niro look young, and I thought it was great. And people had to get past that too. So, people had to say, "Oh, that doesn't," there was some criticism, but. Look, it's the content of the story, what it proposes, that Jimmy Hoffa was murdered by basically his best friend, which makes so much sense as opposed to these other scenarios, So, I mean, I believe it to be so, but everyone has their theory, their idea of how it happened.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, there's so many different, that's the $1 million question is, what happened to Jimmy Hoffa, but you can see just how it's laid out that this could be one way of how it happened. But I mean, even movies like Casino, movies like Goodfellas, I mean, they're based on true stories. They're not 100% true. Like even the scene where Joe Pesci and his brother get killed in the cornfield. I mean, that didn't happen. I mean, that actually those two brothers were killed in a house. And even there was some different fallacies with Goodfellas. But yeah, I'm not sure why with Jimmy Hoffa it has to be exactly what happened. Just was it great on scene? And it was. I mean, it was a phenomenal scene. It was just sad because you knew that Jimmy Hoffa, Al Pacino, he wouldn't get in the car unless it was someone that he trusted in the car. And he had his foster son that was driving, and then it was De Niro. I still don't think he would have gotten in the car with just his foster son. I think it needed to be Frank, otherwise he wasn't going to get in. And it was just so sad.
I agree.
He didn't see it coming. He didn't see it coming, and I'm sure you noticed this, obviously, because you helped
And the fish in the front seat. I mean, that was a brilliant. The fish, the smell of fish. I mean, the stink. That. I mean, it was just that where Martin got that, or Steve Zalian got that one. I thought that was just brilliant because there's always something. Every masterpiece has a bit of a different shade of color in it that makes it not perfect, yet it adds to its beauty. And that particular scene with that smell, and of course, Frank would not sit in the front. That was great too. You know what I mean? I thought that hit was a great hit. But as you said, it could have happened differently than that. It doesn't have to happen that way. But to propose that he did it, I think it's pretty valid to me. He did it. Of course, now I think that, his loyalty was to Buffalino. I mean, let's face it, he got everything from Buffalino. He climbed the ladder through Jimmy Hoffa. He climbed the ladder through Jimmy Hoffa, but he owed it all to his Philadelphia friend, Buffalino, his loyalty. So, I mean, to me, it was valid that's the way it happens usually. If you're going to get hit, I guess you get hit by your closest person,
Yeah. Yeah, and I agree. I mean, I walked away thinking that, again, his loyalty was to Russ, and I don't think Martin would have shown the very first scene of the movie, them meeting up, on the side of the road with Frank's truck stalling, and then Russell fixing it for him, and then also them later on in jail. So I mean, it was obvious who the loyalties were against. It was a tough decision, but he knew that it would have been his life and his family's life if he didn't, go along with it. But yeah, no, it was, and also too, I'm sure you do, but the beginning of The Irishman actually starts off with Jimmy Hoffa getting shot. It's about a 2-second scene right when the movie starts, and I didn't notice that until I rewatched it. And it's actually Jimmy getting shot. So you actually see it right in the beginning, but it's so quick that most people don't notice.
Yeah.
On there. Yeah. On there, but yeah, no, definitely. I mean, it's
interesting. It's interesting, like when, because if you look at Robert De Niro's choices, like when he kills him, he puts the gun on him. He's like that action. He's been his friend for so long, yet that action of doing that, I mean, one would think that he would take a second to take a look at him, and like, sorry, pal, like I'm not saying literally say that, but there's no regret there. He does it like it's his. I mean, it just goes to show you, Frank Sheeran. It's brutal, man. I mean, these guys don't look back. It's just a way. It's a code. One would think that you place the gun on him and you think there's some sort of remorse, but there isn't. He does it. It's mechanical. It's Robert De Niro in Taxi Driver. I mean, it's when he takes care of the Harvey Keitel. And he just at first I said, well, maybe I don't know. Maybe I would think. I don't know about that. But then I said it more to myself when I'm talking to you. I'd say, that's the way these guys were. I mean, his loyalty was to Buffalino. And I guess that's the only way to get out of that situation is once you've done the act is to leave. And it's like survival of the fittest. You're not going to sit there and just, sit with the guy, But he gave him a shot, when he went over to I think the lake house or on the phone, We have to talk. He said, it is what it is. It is what it is. He did all he could to help him. That was the dialectic of the whole thing too. That alternating current, Isaiah, Isaiah,
Yeah. Everybody gave him a
He
shot.
did what he could.
Yeah,
Yeah.
everybody was giving him a shot. I mean, that
He
scene
gave him a
with Joe
shot.
Pesci,
Just bullheaded arrogance and pride.
that
He
scene with Joe
forgot.
Pesci.
He forgot how he got there. He forgot. He got to. That's what Marty was able to prove. I think that
Yeah.
he made a good case for that. That Hoffa really had that. And the more you watch Pacino, the more you're gonna like his performance. I'm telling you. And I know you like it, but the more I watch him in that, the more I like his performance. I want to watch it again now after talking to you. I want to watch him again. He's so great.
I'm going to watch it again. I've read the book, and the book is just as good as well. But the movie itself, I've actually seen it well over 10 times, maybe even closer to 20 times. And it's one of those movies, just like The Godfather. The second it goes on, you can't stop it. You can't pause it. You're done for 3 hours, 3.5 hours. You're watching it. So no, definitely. I mean, that's first of all amazing to see you in The Irishman, and obviously seeing the rest of the cast, and just another magnificent piece of work.